Well, thank goodness for the last two laps of that one, eh? Good evening, everybody. Glad you could join us. Welcome back to the WTF1 Wrap powered by MoneyGram. I'm your friendly neighborhood host, Dre Harrison. Pleasure to have you with us this evening after, well, I want to say it was a brilliant Brazilian Grand Prix, but I'd be lying to you if I said it was. And I'm not that. I'm not that sort of person, unfortunately. So yeah, that's unfortunate. But hey, we still got to talk about it, and of course, our friends at MoneyGram want us to talk about it as well. So thanks to them for backing the show as ever. We'll quickly give them a quick plug in a minute. But first, I want to get to my guest. I've always wanted to ask this to you, Josh. Are you actually a barista? Is that what factored into the username?
So, not anymore, but I worked in the coffee industry for 8 years. And when I initially started on TikTok, I was making a whole bunch of content around coffee. But then I posted some F1 videos and they did well. So when I switched over, I was a barista and I was working in the coffee industry. So I was like, barista Josh F1. And it was available on every platform. And as someone with a very basic name that is never available, I was like, take it. And so I'll just never change it, even though I haven't worked in the coffee industry in almost a year, because people know me by it, and I still love coffee. Like, I drink it every day, so it works.
It's not like you just broke up from coffee. It was just, it became adjacent to the F1 stuff.
Exactly.
Exactly. No,
and when you're a US F1 fan, you need coffee on most race mornings.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I can only imagine giving you anywhere between 5 and 8 hours behind us. Did you do the extra hour of sleep this morning?
Well, I did, but I went to bed so late that I watched the clock roll back this morning, so whoops on that one.
Oh yeah, I know that feeling. That was me a week and a half ago. But I also love the fact that we've got a couple of guys that say, Jason say this chat has already outperformed 6 drivers, which is a good sign. Which kind of sums up the race right away. As you can tell, the WTF1 Wrap is brought to you by our friends at MoneyGram, and while things may have wrapped up in Sao Paulo, there is still plenty of time to enter the MoneyGram Fast Money giveaway for this week. If you live in the United States, just download the MoneyGram app and sign up for the MoneyGram Haas F1 team updates to be able to enter. We're still giving away a share of $10,000 in prizes to you lucky customers out there. So do chip in and sign up for the updates if you haven't already. And well, we just got 2 races to go. If Haas can somehow sneak a couple of points in there here and there, we'll be able to give away even more. But don't forget to register your shot at $50,000, up to $50,000, depending on how well Haas do over a weekend. Must admit, the podium might be a bit lofty at this point, but hey, points means more prizes. So let's keep our fingers crossed that Haas can get up there between now and the end of the year. Also, I do hope you football fans out there appreciate the front page image on this stream of Max Verstappen and Adriano, for all you Inter fans out there like me. The man's a legend, and if you played PES 6, you know exactly why. But Josh, what did you make of that race then?
Well, it started off quite wild. That was, I mean, I did snooze my alarm a little bit and woke up and was making a coffee and was kind of like focusing on the coffee, turned on the stream right before Charles hit the wall, and was one of the people that I just was like, this man is unlucky. Like it was just, I was like, he drove away and I was like, oh, he's good. Nope, he was done. He had a great radio message being like, why am I so unlucky?
Yeah.
But yeah, it started off so strongly, and then it just kind of stalled out after like 10 laps. But big shout out to Fernando for giving us, I would argue to say, one of the best, wheel to wheel battles we've probably seen this season, for like a high points finish for sure.
Oh, I mean, thank goodness for the last 5 laps of that race. Like, Sergio Perez being not quite good enough to beat Alonso to the line, but the last 2 laps of that race, I'd argue, were 2 of the best laps we've seen all season. That was a fantastic final fight between Alonso and Perez. I thought Perez might have just about got him, but I have a theory I think Perez may have dumped his entire battery on that front straight and left himself vulnerable to the counter attack.
I think he did.
Because I think that's what Alonso did. I think he saved some for the run to turn 4, and what a fight! And just a reminder of the class of Fernando Alonso. We forget the man is 42 years of age.
He's not a young chap anymore.
No, this is what I think it's his 21st season in Formula One or something silly like that, and he's still driving
106th podium. Like that is wild.
It is wild.
The man's a legend.
Oh god, I mean, fantastic drive and a great weekend for Aston Martin in general to get themselves 3rd and 5th. Their best weekend in ages to get that back, and oh man alive, great weekend. I'll see some of you guys in the chat as well. Yeah, gosh, so we got Mike in there, so we're all here. We haven't retired. Good to know, my man. Good to see you. Jason Poland says Pez legend, Adriano. Yes, sir. You knew what I was referencing there. Mort Cohen saying Haas should drop out and give their team slot to Andretti. Come on, man. That's mean.
Wow, that's rude. Like I'm hurt.
Haas weren't that bad this weekend. And like Magnussen was okay, was a little bit silly on the start, but Hulkenberg was competitive. Come on, that's just mean. Good evening, says Herborg. Says good evening, gentlemen. For beginning my first full-time job tomorrow, and so I'm excited already. And what a race! Best of luck, huh? Best of luck for the first day, full-time job. Let me know if you don't mind saying what's the new job going to be. I'd love to know. Do keep us posted on that. But best of luck, definitely. We're a bit old for that now. For first day at the full-time job vibes.
That was a while ago.
A bit too long for my tastes, but we'll tell that. Yeah. Mallory asking why didn't they pause the start of the race when Charles crashed? I don't know. I think it's because they're able to pull the car off the escape road, and I think with that in mind, I think they're able to still just start as usual. Thank goodness the back of the queue took a long time to get back around, but I think because they were able to pull Leclerc off to the escape road, I think they're able to continue without a hitch. Mort saying Alonso gave another masterclass of racing. I 100% agree with you on that one. That was, again, lap of the year for me on that one. It's not been a classic season, do not get me wrong, but I'd like to think that that was one of the best laps we've seen all year. And Mike says, at least Haas got an Xfinity win this weekend. One for you NASCAR fans, and I know their championship decider's coming up in about 20 minutes' time. Well, we'll impede that a little bit, but we all know you're only here for the last stage anyway. Are you a NASCAR man, Josh?
So I used to be a NASCAR man growing up, and then entered high school and just didn't really. I got a little bored with it. I'll be honest. I didn't follow as much. I tried to get back into it like this year, and it does take skill, and I respect the drivers, but I think for me, it is just a long time to sit and watch cars go around, and it just doesn't give me the thrill as like other racing that I can go watch.
Indeed. Mike, who's your pick for the title tonight then? I'd love to hear how out of the final 4 you've got for the title, because I personally am Team Ryan Blaney. Come on, Blaney. Let's bring it home. But a bit of a NASCAR flavour to our WTF1 post-race show today, because should we break out the tier list? I think it's time we break out the tier list.
I think it's time.
Let me just pull that up in front of me here. Haha, here we are. And as you know, the usual rankings from S to D. Again, we will score them on the performances. We're just going to focus mostly on the Grand Prix because it's a sprint weekend, so it gets a bit confusing once you chuck the sprint results in there as well. So we're just going to focus mostly on the Grand Prix. I think the C tier section, where we put all the technical retirements, is going to be a bit overloaded this weekend, but
good God,
needs must.
What happened?
Just so you know, just in case you were late to the show, only 14 cars finished this race out of 20. Yep. So the attrition rate fairly high on this one, but. Should we
it sounds like Oscar should have retired because he was still carrying a lot of damage, which is why he was so slow. But they just sent him out, which is
weird.
Interesting because he's not getting points. Like you're just putting wear on the entire system at that point. But hey, whatever you want to do, McLaren.
Whatever you want to do. Get some tire management practice in there. Why not? It's a free testing session. I don't know how much you're going to get with a damaged car, mind you, but
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe McLaren has reasons that I can't comprehend. But should we get the obvious one out of the way again?
Let's get it out of the way.
Max, up here. You know the drill.
Get the man where he belongs. It was a quality drive. He drove well. I will say the Red Bull did not seem to have the pace that it's had in some prior races. Lando I don't think he was ever going to win the race, even as close as he was, but it was interesting to see Max not pulling the craziest of gaps this week. So gives a little bit of hope for next season, I feel like. I'm not even gonna say the next 2 races because Lando's not gonna win those, but you never know.
Look, I completely agree with you on that. At least this was probably, and I'm taking Qatar out because it was a bit of an outlier with the fact it was basically a sprint race with the limited tyre stints they had to have. This was probably the closest Red Bull has been pushed all year long, which is an endorsement of McLaren and how brilliant they've been in turning this car around, that they could genuinely challenge for the win here. They're not quite there yet, in my opinion, but I think it's one of the most remarkable in-season turnarounds I've ever seen as an F1 fan, Josh. I don't know about you, but it's been an incredible turnaround.
Yeah, when you go and look at someone had made a graphic of Aston Martin versus McLaren's points this season, and watching it just like never climb, and then they just skyrocketed. Like, it was not a slow climb; it was out of nowhere. Like, no one saw this coming.
It was an ascent. K2 was in their way.
They're like, we're done. Here we go. We're back in this. So I'm very glad they are, and Max just did, put on a clinic once again and was just chill up in front and having his classic day.
I've mentioned this stat a couple of times before. This was Verstappen's 32nd win in the last 42 Grand Prix. Which is just terrifying, to say the least. We've never seen dominance like this in F1 history. It's absurd. I'm not going to claim I have any skin in this game because I used to be a massive Sebastian Vettel fan, so I know all about dominance. But we've never seen anything like this. But great to see that Lando, and I think we're going to, again, this is an easy yes for me as well.
Yes.
I don't think there's any arguments there. The chat already was screaming Lando in S, and yes, I wholeheartedly agree. An S grade for Lando Norris. Again, probably the best weekend he's put together in F1 for me. I'd this season, I would say, and just an excellent performance again, Josh.
Yeah, he actually had a little battle with Max there for a little bit, and it was good to see him not be too aggressive or too crazy, because very easily could have taken just himself or both of them out of the race, which would have been really unfortunate since he was the only one scoring points for McLaren right now, and they really need those points to get by Aston Martin, especially after they just scrapped all of their upgrades and now their car is fast again, apparently. So
we got to talk about that because is there any arguments from you if I put Fernando Alonso in S as well?
Nah, Fernando this race is the top of S tier. He is above Max. That was the one of the most incredible drives like I've ever seen against a car that when Checo got by, I was like, well, it's done. Like, Fernando's in fourth. Like, we saw how Checo just had so much better grip, but then Fernando just like played it perfectly, fought back, and that was such a close finish across the line. Like, I was shocked watching that. It was incredible to watch.
I've put the official I've got the official timing screen in front of me. 0.053 between the two over the line. In real world terms, about 1 car length at 200 miles an hour. So yeah, a phenomenal finish to that race. Again, just that was the best executed lap when it comes to racecraft I've seen in 2023 from Fernando. That was just wonderful skill. I completely agree with you, Josh. I thought it was dead and buried after Checo finally got past him, but Alonso came back. He came back. He set the battery up, and he set that move up perfectly. It was wonderful driving, fair, firm, and just quality stuff. Like that alone saved this race from being a complete bore fest, and at least we got a fun finish out of it. Let's go to the chat.
Thank God. Without that, it would have been rough.
Exactly. Let's take the chat real quick. We've got Jason saying, Fernando S for the finale only. Yes, I agree. Lando made up so much time after the last 10 laps. The pity was 15 back at the end. He was 77.8. Yeah, they dialed that McLaren up at the end. My goodness, like I think he set a lap at one point that was 2 seconds faster than the field. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what's that McLaren got that we don't know about, because that was crazy.
Got something.
There's got something in there, certainly.
Red Bull's got wings, but McLaren's got something spicy under that hood. I don't know what it is though.
I don't know what it is either, but I can't argue it's not effective. Laurie said nobody else could have done what Alonso did today. I genuinely believe that a masterclass of a defense and great entertainment. You know, it's probably a very short list, Laurie. I completely agree. We've got a controversial take here as well from Jason in the chat. Says Jason says controversial opinion. Both Checo and Lance Stroll in A tier.
Ooh, definitely. So I will say I think Checo goes in A, in my opinion. I think it was a good redemption. It was a good redemption race after Mexico, and showed that he's got pace. He shouldn't have finished behind Alonso though. It was a great battle. I'm glad to have the battle, but like he should not have had to fight that long. But I will say for his current form, it was a solid A. He put in the drive that he needed to. He didn't do any dumb moves. So he at least learned on that one.
Yeah, no outside double passes into turn one this time. But no, look, I don't know how people feel about Sergio Perez in this Red Bull seat. That was the kind of weekend where if he did that every week, we wouldn't have a problem. Like, I know it's an incredibly dominant car, and you probably expect him to finish second every race weekend. It's still an argument you could make that he probably shouldn't be losing to Fernando, but I don't know how much of that is Red Bull maybe not being quite as dominant as they were at the start of the year, maybe, because McLaren's gained them in, and Fernando was way back in terms of the top two, but certainly... It's certainly a situation where you'd still want Perez to be ahead of Fernando. I think that poor qualifying form's probably what did him in, taking as long as he did to get to the back of Fernando and then just not being able to pass him.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I think Checo in A is fine. It's not a bad day by any stretch, but not as good as I think it could have been. I also agree with Jason that I think Stroll belongs in A as well, because that's a solid day's work for Lance to get P5. That's another guy that needed a strong result, and I'm glad he's got one, because he's in a dogfight with the Alpines right now, which is not where you want to be. And that was some very good points for Lance there to finish at P5 and 6 seconds behind his teammate. That's absolutely fine if you're Lance Stroll, right?
Yep, that's a solid A. The man needed it. We all know. I mean, if you know me. If anyone knows me, I am not the biggest Lance Stroll fan in general.
Me neither.
But it does seem like this car, like it is faster than what they've been dealing with, and Fernando will always do well with whatever car he's given, and Lance just seems to do better with a car that's like working a little better and kind of going the way he wants. So it's at least nice to see him doing well. It's not nice for the battle they have with McLaren going on right now in the constructors, but at least Lando finished in front of both of them. So
Laurie in the chat says the Perez was good. The field was tighter this time. I agree. It also says Stroll was the perfect number 2 today. Yep, absolutely. Look, no one is expecting Lance Stroll to beat Fernando Alonso, but if he's finishing 6 seconds behind him on the road, that's perfect. That's absolutely fine. No one's complaining about that at all. And if Stroll was doing that all season, Aston Martin might still be fourth in the constructors. But. That's one for the scoreboard. Also saying, Hare says, Perez desperately needed this result. We are talking about passing Alonso after all. Someone famous for being impossible to overtake. Good effort. Good effort. Maybe not quite.
Can't wait for all the wide car memes from this race. Just wide Fernando along the track. It's gonna be great.
Big mate making a comeback like out of sports car
racing.
Exactly. Big mate. Yeah, that's gonna be a thing. That's one for you WEC fans out there. Now, right. Also, speaking of WEC, real quick. Well done, Iron Dames. We saw them.
Well done. Bahrain. My God.
I want to give them a shout out on air. Well done to Iron Dames winning the final ever GTLM race in the WBC yesterday. A wonderful, inspiring win. And let that record show that women absolutely do belong at the very highest level in motorsport. Because that was a magnificent drive. So well done to the Iron Dames team. I wanted to give them mention on the air at some point, and I'm really glad we got the chance to do that. It was a great segue.
There you go. Well done. Bang. Beautiful segue.
Beautiful. Right, so let's do... I want to put somebody else in there real quick. Pierre Gasly. The Alpine in P7. I think that's a really solid result for Alpine there. I mean, I think they've taken advantage of a little bit of attrition in the midfield, but
Oh
That's
yeah.
But I think that's realistic. I mean, only 6 seconds behind Carlos Sainz as well. I know he was struggling with a bit of downshifts towards the end, but I think A is a
Yep.
good spot for Gasly as well. Was that fair?
Oh, I agree. I mean, the man was at around like 15 seconds in front of his teammate, which is pretty solid. Took advantage of the Mercedes not doing great. We can talk about that one when we get to them. But no, Gasly had some beautiful moves, had some nice racing, and I think that's a solid, easy run of the mill A tier right there.
Yeah, I think given the quality of the car, given we know it's probably locked into that P6 spot in terms of team strength, I think P7 is a good day's work for Gasly. Both cars in the points. We get to walk on in a little bit as well, but yeah, good cars in the points there. Now, what do we do with Carlos Sainz? I'm not sure what to do with this one personally, because it was kind of in no man's land this weekend. Like, I don't think his race was bad.
Yeah.
P6 behind Lance. I mean, I don't think you want to be behind an Aston Martin, but Aston Martin were clearly strong this weekend.
Yeah.
It's hard to say because Charles didn't even do a racing lap in anger, and he started from second.
And Carlos definitely was dealing with some problems. He wasn't even able to downshift at certain points at the end. So there was something going on with that Ferrari. I know people, it was said it was like hydraulics, but then they were talking to Charles afterward, and he confirmed that it wasn't hydraulics, but he wouldn't say what it was, but he wasn't surprised that it happened. So it sounds like that Ferrari had some kind of issue going into today that they don't want to talk. Because even when Carlos came on the radio to talk about downshifting, his engineer was like, please, we'll talk about it later, please. It's like, all right, there's something going on with that car they don't want people to know about. So I was, for what Carlos was doing, like sticking up there and, based on that car having problems, I was quite impressed. I'd personally put him in B, not because of his driving, but because of dealing with that car, like a high B. And it wasn't impressive, but it seemed like part of that came from some issues with the car in general.
Yeah.
I'm sure chat's going to come for me for that one.
Chat, let's see what the chat says. Chat says, I thought Gasly is B, but I won't argue with one grade of difference. We're friends after all, even if Trey wants to hit me with a steel chair sometimes. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about, Jason. None whatsoever. Mike says B is...
Slander.
Slander. Defamation, I'm suing you.
Yeah.
Mike says B is fine for Sainz, even he even had some issues too, so the fact that he finished the race alone is worthy of a higher rating. Laurie says Sainz has missed a solid this season. I think the chat's with you on this one, Josh, and I'm going to leave it there as well. I think B is a solid landing spot for him there. I don't think he was anything bad in particular.
No.
I just think that Ferrari is a bit of a problem, and like you said, like there is something they don't want to tell us in that Ferrari camp about Leclerc's car, and it might be another sheepishly embarrassing failure, shall we say. And let's not forget, going into this race, Ferrari was only 24 points behind Mercedes in the fight for second in the constructors. This was a golden chance to punish them, given how bad Mercedes were, and they dropped the ball on this one.
Yeah.
Now, we've got a couple more to get through before we take a quick break, because we've got to put a lot of dudes to put in the seats here in a minute, so that'll save us a little bit of time in this. Let's do Lewis Hamilton. Now,
it's so unfortunate. Like, he put up some nice battles, especially like against Checo. Had some good defense when it was obviously shown that car was terrible. And then watching Gasly just fly by, it looked like Max passing one of the Williams. Like, it was embarrassingly slow. So I feel like for that car, Lewis drove what he could. I loved his little radio message me like, all right, time to push, Lewis. And he's just laughing. He's like, I've been pushing for the last 5 laps, mate. Like,
right.
What do you want me to do?
Right.
So, I mean, if we're going to take the same logic as Carlos, I think Lewis would be a B, in my opinion. Or I could be convinced for a low A, but yeah, I think it was a fine drive. It was just that car was just terrible. It was awful.
That might be the weakest Mercedes has looked all season. I did read Toto Wolff talking about it after the sprint, that a combination of them running their car higher off the ground because they didn't want a repeat of Austin. Because it was sprint weekend, only an hour of practice, didn't want to take any chances, and then having to run this really big rear wing, so the car was draggy, and then it was cooking its tires as well. It's like that Mercedes was just fundamentally flawed across the board, and that was the lowest race result that Hamilton's crossed the checkered line in this season. He's not finished a Grand Prix lower than 8th all year long, and he was 8th again today. I think B is absolutely fine. I think him and I think George Russell would have probably been in B as well if it wasn't for again, he had I think it was an oil overheating problem on his power unit, so he had to park his car late on as well. So I would normally take a break after 10 drivers, but because we're going to put 6 of them in C tier in very, very shortly, I think we'll take a break in to quickly give out our MoneyGram send of the day for the best overtake. I wonder where this is going.
I don't know.
Josh, what do you reckon? Best overtake?
There were just so many good ones.
I know.
If Lando had made that send on Max, that would have won it for me for sure.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, just Fernando's last pass to Checo to bring it back for me was, they were so close, and I was so nervous, especially after Mexico. I was a little nervous, and that was just some good wheel-to-wheel racing. And I mean, I would give that entire battle best overtake personally, because I think they both had some great moves. But at the end of the day, Fernando played it perfectly, had that beautiful pass down that straight, and just held it off to perfection. So well done, Fernando. That would be mine.
Yeah, I think it would only be fair if we split it and gave it to Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez for the entire final 3 laps of that race. I think the best wheel-to-wheel fight we've had all year, and that final overtake from Alonso sweeping across into turn 4, that could have easily been an airplane crash. And thankfully, both parties knew where to draw the line on that one. But a fantastic fight, and absolutely the MoneyGram send of the day. Maybe the send of the season by the time it's all said and done. But fantastic racing from the pair of them. So that's our MoneyGram send of the day. Back to the list. Now, let's get the technical retirements in, because I mentioned this earlier. So that's George Russell, Charles Leclerc, both Alfa Romeos, Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas, Alex Albon and Kevin Magnussen, whose race lasted about 8 seconds. They are all in the... And we'll put Piastri in there as well, because he clearly had a damaged car.
Piastri C. For sure.
And we're almost ran out of space on the C tier already, because
I'm gonna give a hot take and drop 3 of those to D tier, in my opinion.
Really? Go on.
So
I'll entertain an argument.
So well, the first one's gonna be unfortunate. First one, Kevin Magnussen.
If you had to pin the blame on that opening lap incident, it probably is going to Kevin, isn't it?
Yeah, I would love to rewatch it again. I know I watched it from Alex's onboard, and there is something weird about that Brazil straight that, like, it does. I think they described it like a tunnel. It kind of just funnels in. And Kevin went for a very fair gap, but did kind of cause that at the end of the day, which is really unfortunate. And I would also put the Ferrari in D tier, just because, not because of anything of Leclerc's driving, but because it was something going on, and it's just like, to be in that close of a fight and have an issue take out your driver before the race even starts, that is just so unfortunate. And nothing against Charles' driving. The man he would have put in a great race for us today, I think, but Ferrari didn't even let him give us that chance.
You know what I'm going to do? Because I did this with Yuki Tsunoda when his car didn't even start at Monza. I'm going to take Leclerc off the board entirely. I think that's the fairest way I
respect
that. That is a compromise. I did it for Yuki Tsunoda at Monza. He didn't even start this race, and it wasn't on him. So I think it would be harsh to even put him on the board for that.
I can get behind this.
Yeah, you know what? I've agreed with you. I put Kevin Nanta D because I think you're right. I think he probably was the most guilty party in that free wide. I don't think it was a punishable offence. I think a lot of that was just a lap one free wide incident that happens every once in a while. But if you're going to apportion blame, I feel like I'd say Magnussen probably gets the worst end of that. So yeah, you know what? I actually like the look of that a little bit better now.
A little more balanced than the big bro we had going on.
Yeah, it was a brick. It was like a brick wall that just come across the seat here there for a second. Let's catch up with the chat real quick, because Mallory Claire said that battle saved the race today. I completely agree, Mallory, 100%. Like saying, Alpha once again gets the They Were There Participation Award. Yes. Every week. It's not even like they're bad.
They weren't even participating because they both retired. So
and I agree with Laurie to say Bottas was having a good race until the retirement. I was fuming. Yeah, he was running in that fight for the points as well. Just didn't work out. I think Joe was a power unit problem of some kind. I haven't heard on what Bottas's retirement was for, but a double technical DNF for Alpha is a horrible bit of luck for them. Laurie said Bottas could have scored a point because he was closing in on Ocon. Yeah, I did spot that when it happened. It's very unfortunate. And Herbock said, to start the formation lap and still get a did not start is about as bad as it gets. And the terrifying thing is, it's not even the first time it's happened to Leclerc either. Nope. We'll always have Monaco. Oh, that one stung.
Still stings. Still hurts.
That one stung. I'm going to also put Ricciardo in C because his car was damaged from that lap one incident as well. His rear wing, I think, was tagged, and he was. They lost. I love that he and Piastri actually lost a lap because they didn't complete the lap under the safety car. They went straight into the pits, which I thought was quite funny.
If we're ranking pit crews in a tier list, AlphaTauri goes S tier for repairing that rear wing as quickly as they did, because as McLaren showed, they didn't quite get it fixed, and it obviously cost Oscar time. But Daniel was running relatively decent pace. He was just there was nothing he could do with it at that point when it's a lap behind. So the fact that AlphaTauri got that fixed so quickly was mad impressive.
Yeah, very good work from the AlphaTauri pit crew on that one. I completely agree with you there. It's a shame that the damage was already done for Ricciardo in that sense. But just a shame on that one. His teammate Yuki, P9 on the day on this one. P9. 2 more points, and it's worth a mention because you don't normally factor it in as well. That excellent in the sprint as well. P6 in the sprint, which is again 5 more points for AlphaTauri coming out of Yuki this weekend. Where do we put him then? Because it seems to me that Mexico maybe wasn't a fluke with how fast that car has looked post upgrade. I'm debating between. I'm going to say B, because he did make a mistake early on where he ran off the road a little bit, and that cost him a couple of spots. I think
when he went through the grass.
Yeah. Do you think B's all right for Yuki? I think that's about right for him.
Yeah, I was thinking B or even potentially A. I think the thing with those, the low teams is they need to really capitalize on weekends like this one where there are a lot of retirements. And I think Yuki, the fact that he finished in front of Ocon in itself is for me could potentially jump him up to A tier, because he finessed some points and at least showed that Mexico wasn't a complete one-off for them. It seems like there genuinely might be a little bit of pace, and at this point definitely a solid chance that they could overtake Williams in the constructor standings. I mean, they're only 7 points behind right now.
It's going to be a very close fight towards the end of the season. I think AlphaTauri might just run out of time. They've only got 2 weekends left to close them in, but 5 more points gained on Williams, so that's still a good weekend's work for AlphaTauri in the grand scheme of things. I mean, don't get me wrong, Williams even in 8th would still be a very big improvement on how they've been the last few years, but 7th would be otherworldly.
It'd be insane. You never know. Daniel has said how much he loves Vegas and how he's always wanted to race there. So maybe that will give him just a little bit of an edge. And we have seen the AlphaTauri does perform very well on straight line speed, it seems like, after Mexico. And we know that Vegas has that incredibly long back straight. So if they can qualify well and put themselves in a good spot, I wouldn't be shocked if they could get themselves a handful of points.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely fair. Let's have a look. Who else have we got? We got 3 drivers left. Let's talk about the hometown hero, Logan Sargent. In your case, Josh. P11, 10 seconds off a point. I think that's B tier worthy.
That's high B tier for Logan. I mean, it's unfortunate. He was so close to points. He was so close. What was interesting for me was starting. Williams started him on mediums, went under the red flag, and then they just ran softs the rest of the race.
Why not?
Because you've done your mandatory at that point. So weirdly, worked out super well. And I think Logan definitely found the flow of that car a little bit. And even if he was just outside of the points, like with all these DNFs, it would have been really unfortunate to still see Logan in, like 14th or, even like dropping back and like battling with Daniel, even though he'd ended up being a lap down. So yeah, I would say high B tier for, that was not a sentence, high B tier for me for Logan. We never saw him. I don't think the camera showed his car a single point during the race, because I looked over and I was like, Logan's in 12th. What's happening right now?
Yeah.
But just a solid result that he needs to build that confidence.
Yeah, same. I'd still pick C for Logan, but a B is good, says Herborg. Battery Clock says C for Logan. He should have been competitive with half the field out of the race. 11th is competitive. for Logan, that's a nosebleed right there.
Yeah.
He is still a rookie, and I don't think Williams were as good this weekend as they have been in other places. So I actually think that's about right for where Williams are at right now. So I'm fine with Logan in B on this one as well. We got 2 more to go. Hulkenberg P12. Has to try him. Bless them. They are trying.
Yeah.
And nothing summed up Haas's current plight for me better than yesterday during the sprint, when they were the only 2 cars worth a damn on the medium to do the sprint, because they knew they couldn't do a soft tyre. And I was just like, oh, Haas.
Yeah.
Oh, Haas.
They have just such bad tire degradation in general, and then you come to Brazil, which is known for its high tire deg, and it's like, well, good luck, guys. And we know the hard is terrible around this track, so it's like, well, your options are minimal at this point. Good luck.
They lost that to Williams. So I'm going to say C for Hulkenberg, I think.
I was thinking the same thing.
I was thinking the same thing on that. That just leaves Esteban Ocon, who for some reason we forgot about. I don't know why, but we just did. He got in the points. I think that's about fine for Alpine in 10th place. I think B there sums it up well.
If we're just rating the race, it's a B. If we're rating the weekend, it's a freaking F, after he tried to blame Fernando for that crash and had the audacity to say that he didn't lose the car a little in that corner. That was genuinely maybe the wildest post-quali race anything interview I've ever seen in my life.
It's like that. It's like if this was on Twitter, we'd put the quote of lying and then put a bunch of right hour emojis about how Esteban, you lost control of the car. Look, it's not your fault entirely. No. I also think you probably could have saved it if it wasn't for the fact that Fernando turned in a bit, and that's what the steward said as well, which is why it was no further action on that. I think that was absolutely the right call from the stewards. But that was Esteban saying that wasn't, he didn't lose the car was
it's like if you're upset because you crashed, and it's like that is just unfortunate timing. Fernando's on the outside. If he wasn't there, you're probably fine. But the audacity to say that you didn't lose the car, we can, I think it was JB Price was tweeted out, or break one of the two, and they're like, you can see the mark on the track right now, like it is a long skid mark where his tire slid out. So yeah, race result B tier, but yeah, if we're including that, it would be so much lower. But
oh god,
a solid result. Definitely not as good as his teammate. So yeah, but I'm trying to remember where they qualified, if they qualified that far apart.
They were quite far down. I think Ocon was 15th or something like that. So I think it's not a bad day, really.
Yeah, Ocon started 10th, and Gasly started 7th. So yeah, basically just held position during the race, which not bad.
That's not bad at all. No, I think that's B, and that's the whole list. So just a quick rundown. S. Alonso, Verstappen, and Norris. We've got Perez, Stroll, and Gasly in A. We've got Sainz, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Sargent, and Ocon in B. The string of DNFs, and that is Russell, Zhou, Bottas, Albon, Piastri, Ricciardo, and Hulkenberg in C. And just the one man in D, Kevin Magnussen, which I think is
the one.
It's a little harsh on Kevin, I must say, but yeah, that's probably fair in the grand scheme of things. I think.
Okay, we can picture Ocon there if it was a whole race weekend recap.
Because after all, like, who would ever let personal opinions get in the way of a tier list?
Oh.
No, never.
For me, never.
No, never.
I mean, Daniel would be an S for me, but, I try to stay biased. Or unbiased, not biased.
I would never have noticed. Mike says, no Leclerc in C. I mean, he is a DNS technically, but it was also a technical failure. I'm being fair, Mike, because he didn't even start. It's one of my unwritten rules. I normally put you're right, I do normally put DNFs in C, but this was beyond a DNF. This was a DNS. The rarest of jewels on this occasion. So I've decided to be fair and take him off the board because at least everybody else got to start, which...
Yeah. If it'd been his fault, be a different story, but it was very clear that it was not anything that he did. It was just the car.
No, absolutely.
Breaking.
Absolutely. So I'm happy with that overall. I think the chat seems to be as well. Ocon is a B, says Laurie. It says, no, I didn't lose it. You did. Points at the interviewer, says Mike. That Ocon interview. My goodness.
Oh my God.
But I'm happy with that. Now, before we get out of here, Josh, it's only fair that we let the good people know where they can find you. So give yourself a little plug. Tell, as Sean Evans would say, tell the good people what you're doing with your life.
Heck yeah. If you want to drop a follow, keep up with all the content. Barista Josh F1 on every platform. The ones that I normally post on TikTok and Instagram, and I try to do better with YouTube, but it's just, making YouTube videos there. They just take so much time. They really do. But I think, more will be coming out during the off season because I got, I was at one race so far this year and still holding out hope that I will be at Vegas. But, we're just waiting to see what'll happen. So, if you want to come hang out, drop a follow. And, if you come from this, shoot me a little DM on Instagram and let me know what you thought. And if you hate my opinions, that's fine. They're my opinions.
They're like buttholes, everybody has one, etc.
Yep.
But, we'd be spoiling ourselves if we asked MoneyGram to hook us up twice because we were both in Vegas as well.
Hey guys,
no,
please.
No, we're not greedy, honest. No, joking, but no.
I'm not beyond trying, though. Let's be honest. If they want to.
No, they've been more than generous to us already this year. So shout out to them as ever. Thanks to MoneyGram for obviously powering the WTF1 Wrap. Of course, give Josh a bump from us if you can. One of the most enthusiastic and energetic people we've ever had on this show.
Thank you.
The man's energy is through the roof. It's like he's had a monster before he's got on, so I'm very proud of him.
Just
for that.
one coffee. That's it. That was like 3 hours ago.
I don't even drink coffee. I don't know how you handle it sometimes. It's crazy. But again, give Josh a follow from us if you haven't already. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. We've got a break from the triple header. Yes, we've escaped.
God. Ferrari's grateful for that one, I think.
Definitely. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time to discuss the Las Vegas Grand Prix, which I'm sure will not be controversial or talked about in any way, shape, or form by the time we get there in a fortnight's time. Of course, you can follow me at Dre_WTF1 on all the usual social media platforms. My Instagram's a little bit different. It's Dre Harrison WTF1 because for some reason people thought my name was Drew with the way the WTF1 played into my name. It was a bit weird like that. So it's Dre Harrison. So big thanks to the chat as well. Mallory's a great chat, gentlemen. Thank you, Mallory. Thank you, Hare. Thank you, Laurie.
Shout out to the chat.
Shout out to the chat. The chat was great as ever. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time for Las Vegas. Don't forget to listen into the WTF1 podcast as well. Harry and Cannon will be on that tomorrow. I'll be back with Hot Takes Wednesday. On Wednesday, funnily enough, as well. So it's
crazy.
It's a startling concept. But until then, I've been Dre. He's been Josh. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Sayonara.
See you guys. Thank you.